All right, folks, we're going to try a different angle today with the system here. Let me take a look here and see if we can get this to... can you guys see me okay? All right. All aboard the crazy train, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. This is quite an ordeal, folks. You know, that picture on the thumbnail, once again, if you caught that thumbnail photograph, ladies and gentlemen, that's Donald Trump, and we've got the Egyptian leader, and we've got the head guy of Saudi Arabia, and they got their hands on this mystical globe, right? This glowing orb that's in an anti-extremist fusion center in Saudi Arabia, right? They're putting their hands on the crystal ball, right? So we've got Donald Trump, and we got Egypt, and we got Saudi Arabia all working together over there, right? Now, you know, and while we're talking about the crazy train, Putin's on board the crazy train, and you know, China, North Korea, they're all, listen, folks, I came to a conclusion last night based on some information I hinted to and alluded to yesterday, that for the most part, anybody that's got a space program's in on this thing, all right? And guess what, folks? It's a crazy train, and they're all in on it. So what's happening is there is a concerted effort behind the political scenes and the spiritual scenes to enslave and destroy humanity, right? And to turn everything into basically a ritual sacrifice. Okay, that's right. The veil is being lifted, ladies and gentlemen. And can you guys? I don't know. I can't see. Is this thing okay? Let me get this. I don't know what's going on with this. You guys see me okay? Hang on. What's going on with the stream here? Are we sideways? Trying to get this camera to work. Can you guys see me okay now? How's that? A little better? All right. Am I sideways now? All right, good. Yeah, somebody told me to go sideways with the camera, so I went sideways with the camera. But anyway, folks, we got a convergence of basically Kabbalah and Masonry and the reptilian Vatican going to town on humanity, right? And all the churches are involved in covering this stuff up. And the school districts are all involved in keeping everybody's eyes off the ball, teaching lies and kinky crap and ridiculous math that makes everybody believe theories are reality. And in the meantime, these guys are building an electronic prison for everybody, and they're creating a literal slaughterhouse on. Look, folks, you think what happened in World War II is bad? You ain't seen nothing yet what they got planned for us, okay? When they get us all into these cities, they've already got China rolling out the social credit system to where literally if you're politically incorrect, you will starve to death because you won't be able to make a living. You know, they're working on that here. You know, we've got a little bit of time here in the United States. There's still quite a bit of free speech in this country. But for the most part, ladies and gentlemen, you know, incrementally they're working at silencing us because we're the last country in the world that you can actually tell the truth about stuff, for the most part. Problem is, nobody knows the truth, and when you present it to them, they look at you like you're a nut job. You know, I thought I was crazy when I thought I really misunderstood what happened on 9/11 when all through the news it was a bunch of Saudi Arabian hijackers that was responsible allegedly for allegedly hijacking supposed airplanes into the towers, right? And then they turn around and bomb Iraq, and I'm like, wait a minute, don't you guys know where Saudi Arabia is on the map? Why are you bombing Iraq when the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia? That thought was crazy for me. I'm like, wait a minute, these guys don't know their geography, right? I wasn't crazy, folks. They're crazy. It's a crazy train, right? All aboard the crazy train. Because to be honest with you, in order to get anywhere in public office, you have to be so dirty, so corrupt. And I've gotten plenty of contact from you out there that are forever Trumpers and think that he's the Messiah. And I'm going to make a statement right now. Donald Trump is not a Messiah. He's not a savior. He's a very corrupt man that has been installed to lead our country in a direction suits an international geopolitical agenda, not the interests of the United States. Okay? Let me make that very clear. Donald Trump has been installed. He was look, all this, of course Hillary wasn't going to get it. They're doing the same thing with Biden now. His health is failing, right? Hillary was collapsing and having mental dementia, and now Biden, same thing. All the crap's coming out, right? And, Trump's going to be installed for a second term, folks. So those of you who think you need to be involved in this political battle, just sit back, take off your seatbelt, and, unbuckle your belt a little bit and just get comfortable in your chair, because your man's going in a second term. That's the plan, folks. What's happening right now is the same thing that happened with the second run for George Bush. The plan is to install him again, have the military-industrial complex ready to strike after they allow us to get hit again. It's coming. I talked about it yesterday. Obviously, there are those who did not care for that video I did on Seattle and that picture on the WIKIJOE YouTube channel and on the FULLERTONInformer.com and WiFiDangers.com, where I show the picture that Bill Gates' Microsoft Corporation had painted for the Seattle residents back about 20 years ago, right? And it's a picture of the Seattle area with all the people gone. The only thing left is the Space Needle and the 3 arches from Bill Gates' corporate headquarters up there is 3 6-story horseshoe magnet buildings. The arches are erected as a testimony, right? So, folks, we cannot continue to follow these people who make all these empty promises. We still are under the thumb of the Federal Reserve. No one's done away with the Federal Reserve, folks. If you want to make America great again, you got to get rid of the Federal Reserve. Not audit it. No, Ron Paul, stop your nonsense. We don't audit something that has no business being in existence. We shut it down, right? Has Trump ever hinted at ending the Federal Reserve? No. And it's a crazy train, folks, because that's the model for every country, is a central bank that issues currency out of thin air and creates hyperinflation and enslaves the masses and confiscates the wealth, labor, and natural resources of the aforementioned geographic region. And eventually they just open up the borders, and because that's how the crazy train gets to roll through. They got us all fighting with each other while they roll down the tracks on the crazy train about 20 feet away from the brawls going on, right? And then they keep the action going. I knew somebody that had a lot of inside information on these Vegas casinos, right? Worked there for years in upper management. He worked for MGM. Doesn't work there anymore. But for years, they would pump oxygen into the HVAC system in the casinos. And they made sure that the cigarette smoke never left because of the alkaloid composition in the nicotine. its inhibition of phosphorescence. It creates adrenaline, stimulates adrenaline production. It keeps the people awake. Then the oxygen gives people euphoria, so they keep playing, right? That's what they did in the casinos for years. They used to pump oxygen into the casinos to keep the gamblers gambling, right? Well, the media keeps the proverbial oxygen flowing on the Hellivision, that black satanic electronic psychotronic Ouija board called a Hellivision, with all of this divisive, false left-right paradigm, this phony dichotomy of Democrat versus Republican. So we're always fighting with each other as the controllers ride the crazy train down the tracks with the butler and the masseuse and the jacuzzi and the full open bar as they laugh at us looking out the window. They go from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, laughing their butts off, looking out the window with each other over these football issues that they keep throwing at us, as they have the cheerleaders on the networks telling us to keep rah-rahing for, right? That's right. That's right, folks. That's what's going on, all right? You need to wake up to the fact that what's happening right now is a massive diversion. Trump is not getting impeached. He is not going anywhere. He's not going to resign. Trump will have a second term. That is why they spent so much effort and money installing him in the first place, because he's only halfway done with what he was put there to do. All right? What was he put there to do, folks? Well, let's take a look at one of the first accomplishments that he has given us. Has he done away with TSA? No. Has he done away with the Federal Reserve? No. Has he done anything about the forced vaccination mandates? No. Has he done anything about the 5G rollout? No. As a matter of fact, he's doubled down on everything I just mentioned. He's pushing dangerous millimeter wave communication systems that are a total information awareness network surveillance grid that is doubling as a kill grid at the same time. Military grade weaponry, folks, as well as a surveillance matrix. What's Trump doing on that? He's pushing for it. Getting rid of all local control over weaponization systems being installed in your freaking backyards on the light poles. What's he done about the Federal Reserve? Nothing. Well, as a matter of fact, the debt continues to grow, and we owe more and more interest to these fraudsters that run the Federal Reserve, and that is being paid back with all your taxes. Your taxes, ladies and gentlemen, are going to service the debt on this illegitimate, illegal interest Ponzi scheme with the Federal Reserve. What's Donald Trump done about the Federal Reserve? Nothing. Right? So what's he done about our Constitution? Well, he's done away with a lot of it by taking away, he's got the red flag laws coming. He's attacking the Second Amendment. He's allowing the national ID card to go forward that he gave us, right? And all of you out there who are all into Bible prophecy, which I am not, folks. I don't believe in this premillennial dispensationalist heretical eschatology that's been invented by a group of people so they can rewrite history and the future so it fits their narrative and it gets accepted, right? Why are you not complaining about the mark of the beast called the national ID card? Any of you out there forever Trumpers that think he's the savior? Folks, I should not have to show some federal ID that I retina scan, thumb scan, face recognition scan to get on a freaking aeroplane, okay? Or to cross a what's with all these checkpoints they're building at the state borders? What is it, folks? What is it? What is it with the military industrial complex of the United States getting into vaccine business out of Fort Detrick, Maryland, ramping up production of different vaccines for the pandemic they're planning, right? Not that they're anticipating, they're planning it. Because they're going to rig it. Where did the anthrax come from? that killed the editor of American Media in Boca Raton, Florida, came from Fort Detrick, Maryland, the same place that's ramping up flu vaccine production, right? Remember the editor of American Media in Boca Raton, Florida, got the anthrax? He was the first guy to get the anthrax after 9/11. Remember the anthrax scare, folks? Let's see how good your memory is. Why would a supposed dialysis patient in a CIA hospital a month before, who now supposedly was living in a cave, send anthrax to a tabloid editor in Florida after a couple of controlled Tesla technology vaporization of buildings that were built to come down the minute they were constructed, right? Why did that editor get the anthrax? And it turned out it was traced back to Fort Detrick, Maryland, right? Same people that want to make your vaccines. Why is Trump expanding the Fort Detrick, Maryland vaccine production? What's he got going on? This is a crazy train. And then, you know, Rick Perry, he pushed the HPV shot on all the poor unsuspecting girls in Texas. A bunch of them got end up in a wheelchair, sterilized, all kinds of. I mean, these people are monsters, folks. I'm by Walgreens right now. What do they got? Flu shots, right? And the deal of the week? Oh, wow. Yeah, diet joke, right? Look, I voted for Donald Trump, okay? I was running for public office in 2016. I was trying to get elected to my local city council. But you see, the problem is, folks, the controlled Christian right in my community, in all of my area, is all controlled by the same cabal that runs these phony Christian churches. You know, they all support these crooked candidates. I mean, I kid you not, all right? Check this out. We got these guys, right, these conservative Christian political organizations. I'm running for office, and they endorse my opponent who believes in abortion. Did you hear what I just said? Because they didn't want me getting elected, folks. They didn't want someone like me getting in office, so they went so far as to endorse somebody that had an opposing view on the right to life, right? But that's how crooked the editorial boards of the newspapers are, and these political action committees and all these religious organizations. They're all crooks, okay? They're a bunch of degenerates, and if you're an honest, hardworking, upstanding guy, and I'm not tooting my horn, but I'm just saying, folks, you know, I barely got a speeding ticket 20 years, right? I got no criminal record. I'm a family man, been married for decades, only one wife, right? You know, I'm a stable, clean guy that has no dirt, right? And they did everything they could to keep me from getting in. Why? Because I wouldn't play ball with these crooks, right? Because the thing is I started sniffing around for the pedophile rings that are running in certain areas of South County that involve the Saudi royal family up in the hills above Pelican Hill. You know, I mean, look, folks, they don't like me because I tell the truth. And I want to tell you something. You ain't never going to make it to city council if you're honest, and you're not going to make it to be district attorney if you're decent, and you're not going to make it to the assembly or the state senate if you have an ounce of wholesomeness, and you sure as hell ain't going to make it into the White House if you got an ounce of it left in your body. Okay? And so I don't want to hear any more crap from you guys threatening me to stop bashing Trump. I'm not bashing Donald Trump. I'm telling the truth. All right? Now, for those of you who don't have any children that are going to get dragged off to fight this war that these people are setting up, maybe that's why you don't care, because your merry-go-round doesn't have to stop and you don't have to get your children off at the draft office, okay? I do. All right? And the problem is, folks, I'm not putting up with this. And when I see what they're up to, and I see what their scam is, and I see how it's going to involve killing millions of people, once again, just like the war on terror has done, it has cost trillions of dollars, millions of lives have been ruined by this phony war on terror. And Donald Trump has been installed to keep the crazy train rolling down the tracks and expand the damn thing. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I have a friend of mine who had a very horrible thing happen to one of his children. And the detectives involved in this criminal investigation actually got confessions out of the perpetrators of this heinous crime against this friend of mine's minor child, right? So this person has a minor child that had a horrible act committed against his child, and actually got the accused perpetrators, the detectives, got them to make an admission on record that they committed this crime. And the district attorney would not prosecute this case because the perpetrators happen to have a father that does heavy-duty sales business with the crooks at the district attorney's office that involves selling high-priced luxury items to these scum that work at the district attorney's office. You see, folks, our country is literally run by freaking criminals. You know, I got a call from my son one day at lunch, and he said, "Dad, I'm in the office." I'm like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, the FBI it wants to investigate me, and I'm here with the police and the FBI, right?" And so they're trying to shake down my son, you know, saying, "Oh yeah, I mean, look, you guys, you're chasing." What they do is they go after little guys and harass people like me. They try to intimidate my family, and you know, they'll send these big old drones over my house at night, and they'll run these big infrared scans on my property. I've seen them. My neighbors have seen them. One of my neighbors is, let's just say he's got law enforcement connections, and he said those are not your average bear drones, Joe. Then they're going straight to your house. They come a couple of times, over and over again. They come from a distance and then stop right over my home and do infrared scans. You can see the lights flashing on this thing at night. You know, scoping out my house, trying to scare me. All I'm trying to do is get all the sex slaves freed from the massage parlors that the day laborers are raping all the time. I mean, seriously, folks. You know, I'm just trying to figure out in my community where the hundreds of millions of dollars went that should have fixed the roads. But instead, these retired city employees are bragging about how many lobsters they're eating with their 300-pound gut hanging out on social media, right? They're disgusting pigs. And so, if you don't think this is a crazy train, then you're freaking nuts. You look at that picture on the thumbnail on this video, and you tell me what the heck you see in that picture, because I'm going to start doing little discourses over these photos, because I've always heard that a picture is worth 1,000 words. I want to tell you something, folks. Lately, a picture's worth about 1,000,000 words, considering what they're putting out to us. And like I said, between this system of control that consists of Kabbalah, Masonry, and the reptilian Vatican satanic pedophile cult ruling over us with the Tavistock Institute, you know, under the crown in England, right? You know, we've got these entities that are just playing with us like a cat toys with its prey, right? You know, the cat's really the only animal that likes to toy around with its prey before it kills it. Most other animals well, actually, humans are the same way as the cat, the sadistic ones. And that's what's being done with us, folks. We're being played with and screwed with. You know, it really sickens me. I was at the grocery store last night with my wife, and it really sickens me what is being put out there as food. It really sickens me when I see the music videos that are being put out as entertainment for children. It really sickens me to see the virtual reality headsets and these backlit LED screens all over the place that are giving young children detached retinas and macular degeneration. It really sickens me to see these wireless gaming controllers giving young children testicular cancer. It really sickens me how they put out these infertility pads in the schools, and it burns up the eggs of these young girls as the slot antenna is beaming right at their ovaries, right? It really sickens me, folks, that they're doing this stuff to us, and they know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose, and they laugh about it. They laugh at us. They mock us. They mock us, folks. They pump us full of all kinds of witchcraft brews of vaccinations and petrochemical poisons. They push the opioids on us. They lie. They cheat. They steal. They send out an army and a cadre of sales agents to get millions of people addicted to these horrible pills that destroy their lives. They put all these horrible toxic. I was out at a restaurant the other night, meeting some colleagues of mine, just for a brief literal glass of water and some chat. And a couple of the cooks were walking out the back, and they were carrying out these boxes. And I asked one of them, say, can I take a look at that? And it was the shortening they're using to fry the fries. And I kid you not, folks, they're putting silicone in the shortening, right? Dimethylsiloxane, right? These horrible toxic oils that they fry the foods with. First, they gave us the trans fats, the partially hydrogenated cottonseed and rapeseed oil that Procter & Gamble had patented the hydrogenation process that literally just plugged everybody's arteries up, right? Rancid, horrible, disgusting garbage oil, right? And now they're putting silicone in it, right? They ban the trans fat restaurants and they get us out of the frying pan and into the fire. It really sickens me that all the music is about depression and giving up on love and cutting yourself and drinking blood and crashing your car and doing driving off a cliff. It really sickens me that all the game shows are hosted by witches and warlocks. It really sickens me that all the commercials are for pills and poison. And it really sickens me that everybody is going to these phony churches where these pickpocket preacher pimps in the pulpit just trying to rip everybody off while they put you to sleep as they get you to follow them like the Pied Piper off the cliff. It really sickens me how Disney's putting in these vampire cartoons for little children so they can prep them for their blood drunk and being adrenochrome produced corporation is putting out, as it's literally run by people who have been caught red-handed with child porn on their computers. It sickens me! And if you don't think what you're seeing is a crazy train, then you got something wrong with you. Just because it's Friday, you're going to go pick up your chronic at the dispensary, or you're going to go hit the Walgreens and pick up a bottle of, Johnny Walker or whatever. You know what? Or you're going to have your extra trip to the extra long night at the massage parlor. Or, you're going to go out and get plastered and wife swap, or whatever you're going to do. Knock it off! I'm sick of this! I see it everywhere, and I'm calling it out, and you need to knock it off! And wake up and do what you need to do to save your family in this country. Because we are in deep shit, folks. And I'm not kidding you. We are in trouble. There's a high school in my neighborhood there's an individual that works at this high school in a capacity that has access to children, and he has posted these videos sexualizing these minors in their capacity as students engaged in their collegiate activities. And these are the people that fill their trash cans full of beer bottles and thumb their noses at my warnings of what the microwave agenda and the Common Core agenda is doing to these children. And then I'm hearing about all these children now wearing heart monitors to school because of their atrial fibrillation being caused by the Wi-Fi that the school administrators refuse to document, discuss, reveal any statistics on, or do a damn thing about, folks. And I warned years ago that we were going to have heart problems in these children, and it's happening. Since when do children have heart problems, folks? I want to tell you something. I'm going to make an admission to you right now. When I was 19, there was nothing that could have given me a heart attack, because to be honest with you, I was 19, the things I did should have given me a heart attack, but I wasn't even close. At that age, you're resilient as all heck, folks, okay? Those are the facts, all right? Now, I want to make a statement here one more time here before we close this broadcast out. And I know, look, you think I'm a little harsh, right? Wow. There goes the fighter jets for their show, huh? That's right. The pimps in the pulpit, pickpocket preachers, leading the sheep to slaughter like the Pied Piper, leading the pigs over the cliff, right? Reality's harsh, folks. I deal with reality on a daily basis. That's why I'm still alive. That's why I still have my sanity. And that's why I'm able to live in this world victoriously, and I'm still happy, okay? Wow, that's loud. You guys hear those jets? Those are the Blue Angels, folks, taking off out of the military base. They're called the Blue Angels. Anybody out there see the significance of them being called the Blue Angels? Anyone? Right? Right? The Blue Angels, right? I don't know why they have an American flag on the military base, because the military is not serving the United States, folks. They ought to have a UN flag on that thing. It's not our military anymore. Some of these guys I see getting hamburgers when I go for a walk. I go by the hamburger joint, and they're wearing these uniforms, and they got spiders on their shoulders, these weird patches. No mention whatsoever of the United States. I see these black helicopters taking off and landing with no markings, no numbers, no nothing, right? And I've seen them flying over Orange County, these military helicopters. I don't know if it's CIA, if it's National Guard. Since when are helicopters allowed to fly around with no markings and no numbers on them? I mean, seriously. Seriously, what the heck, right? And why is it that nobody questions any of this? Well, because you're all on your merry-go-round trying to lease a new Mercedes, trying to buy a bigger TV, and, say my kid's smarter than your kid, right? You bunch of morons. Seriously? Your child is going to end up in a body bag coming back on a KC-135 with a whole bunch of other poor innocent victims that turned into soul dyers for international interests that have nothing to do with this country, folks. Why? Because you let your leaders run the crazy train while you fight back and forth over these phony left-right false paradigm, false dichotomy talking point arguments that you're all posting on social media about all day long, arguing tit for tat over this and that and the other, when all these people are all working for the same system. And they're just taking you for a ride, right? I mean, I want you to visualize being on the Hunger Games train and looking out the window, right? And, every 100 miles you'll see the big mosh pits of everybody beating each other up, killing each other as you're sitting there dining on caviar, having your pedicure done. That's what's going on, folks. They've got us fighting with each other, yelling at each other, literally beating each other up over political nonsense that has no bearing on the outcome of anything. When in fact, the voting systems are computerized and controlled. The media is psychological warfare operations run by 180 IQ mind controllers. And all you're being fed is a bunch of nonsense. And the outcome is pre-planned decades in advance. And all they're doing is keeping you distracted so you won't realize that the 1-2 punch is coming. And so it hits you big and hard, and you have no way to react but with astonishment and fear. And that is how they operate, folks. That's how they ran 9/11. That's how they ran. That's how they ran 9/11, folks. It was a 1-2 punch that no one saw coming, the laws of Kabbalah they fulfilled, because they told us it was coming in Back to the Future and in The Simpsons and all these movies, the Supertramp album and Breakfast in America, and there was so much predictive programming telling us 9/11 was coming that they washed their hands of it, right? And that's why Silverstein can get on national television and talk about how he had a dermatologist appointment that morning after just months before he bought terrorism insurance policies, just months after he acquired the leases on a bunch of bankrupt buildings full of asbestos, and he got his double indemnity payout because allegedly there were 2 events, and so he got paid twice, right? And he could tell everybody that he and his family didn't go to work that Monday morning because he was getting a dermatologist appointment. Because, you see, folks, their law of the universe says, well, we told you we were going to do it, and therefore we're not guilty, right? Just like in Oklahoma City, right? When what happened in Oklahoma City, right? The ATF agents, none of their kids were in the daycare, right? How'd that happen? How come Lucky Larry wasn't at work on that Monday morning, right? How come the ATF agents didn't have any of their children in the daycare in the Murrah building that morning? How come JP Morgan wasn't on the Titanic? Or the Levi Strauss guy? How come they took alternative transportation arrangements across the Atlantic that fateful morning, right? Why? Why, folks? Why do we fall for their nonsense? And yeah, there's also a possible March 11th event too. I'm not a date setter, folks. I'm not Hal Lindsey. I'm not telling you the rapture's coming on May 27, 1974 as I drive down the road with a bottle of wine in my hand, right? I'm not that person! I'm going to tell you something, folks. They've got plans. The more you see the contentious, phony... now, I've already looked into the nuclear bombs, and folks, believe me, I got some questions about this, all right? I'll be honest with you. I do have my questions about why, Chernobyl looks like a nature preserve with all the animals and all the people are gone. Maybe that's that con and the plan, right? And the same thing in Fukushima, folks. The animals are doing great. How come animals can handle radiation but people can't? Better yet, here's a question. While we're on the topic, I'm sorry I'm getting off topic, but check this out. Check this out, folks. Is it possible that it's a scam to get us to get out of an area? How is it that Las Vegas has all these people living there after the test site ran for years when plutonium's allegedly the most deadly compound on the planet with a half-life of like 100,000 years or something? How come people are living in Nagasaki and having children and raising fish in their koi ponds? How is it? Why is it? You ever question that? I mean, how is it that a Rio Red grapefruit actually came into existence as a mutation from being exposed to heavy levels of radiation, and they're delicious and they don't hurt you? Right? Right? How is it that they expect us to believe these stick figure models blowing in a room with a fan with a lousy 38 millimeter camera is supposed to be an explanation of what a nuclear bomb does? Folks, if everything is correct like I think it is, like the whole thing's a crazy train, then the ultimate con is the ultimate scam. And here's what really worries me. If they fake a nuclear attack in some city and they say that we got to get out, how many of you have a radiation detector? Right? How many of you have a particle counter or a Geiger counter? Okay? Well, I do. I continually monitor the radiation levels in my home and in my street, in my place of employment, and in my community. And there is more radiation coming from my freaking granite countertop than there is from Fukushima, okay? That's a fact. But what if they fake a nuke and they force everybody out of here saying that there's radiation poisoning? You'll believe it and you'll never know the difference, right? And then you'll be forced to relocate to one of these facilities. And it ain't going to be boy meets girl. It's women here, children here, and men here, right? And then we never see our family again. Is that a possibility? Right? Right? And guess what, folks? Yes, I was Jesuit trained. I went to modern day high school, Jesuit Catholic school. I went to a Jesuit elementary school. Yep. I went to the Knights of Columbus fish fries where they served beer and they had all these rituals and all this nonsense, right? And they wore all these funny hats. But I didn't get sucked into that crap, folks. And I drive by a Masonic lodge every Sunday morning going to the 99-cent store, and I don't make a right turn into that stupid thing. And I'll drive right by these liberal churches with the cell towers on them, and I don't stop in there and give them a dime. But I'll tell you what, folks, I'll stop here and I'll talk to you for a half hour every day. You want to know why? Because we're winning and we're going to keep winning. And they may have all these tools, but guess what we have, folks? We've got the ultimate weapon. And do you know what the ultimate weapon is? Do you know what the ultimate weapon is, folks? It's Jesus Christ and the power of his Spirit and the power of his sinless shed blood, folks. And we need to start praying over all the works of the enemy and bind them in the name of Jesus Christ and plead his sinless shed blood over everything we're involved in. And pray that these people, yep, there's the big transport plane bringing in the stuff for the air show, right? We need to plead his blood over their plans, right? Right? Hey, they're not going to win, folks. That's why they got to have. That's why they're so paranoid. They got to have all the weaponry, all the surveillance. They got to put the 5G systems in to kill us off and surveil our internet and all of our appliance usage and all of our body movements and our proclivities and our conversations with our loved ones. They're so paranoid. They got to have these fusion centers that are 50 stories tall, 1,000 feet below the ground, and each floor having 1,000 computers every 20 feet, the lengths of football fields, all over the place, because they're so freaking paranoid about us, right? They're so worried about what we say and what we know and what we're about to do that they got to take our guns away and inject us with poison and kill us with all these lights and get us drunk on cheeseburgers and pornography and flip the switch on the genders, get everybody confused, hating each other with all this race baiting and all this gender identity studies and all this political meandering with ethnic studies and anthropology, throwing off the religious nature of this country to get us to hate each other and fight with each other and not get along, and then instead of realizing that they're just trying to kill us and control us in a Masonic, Kabbalistic, Jesuit, Vatican assassin, warlock, reptilian, right? That's right. And so guess what, folks? I don't wear my sunglasses except at night. I let the sun shine in during the day. I'm a happy-go-lucky person who has one heck of a life because I have overcome the strife with the blood of the Lamb, and I'm going to continue to do it, folks. I am not enslaved to anything or anyone, folks. Okay? And that's because I've been set free by the one who paid it all. I've been bought with a price, and his power is infinite and eternal. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They can't have access to it because they deny him. All right? And those who deny him deny the Father. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. That's a bad position to be in when your heart stops beating and then your soul exits your body. And then you have to enter the door. And who is the door? He's Jesus Christ. How do you get out of this closed system? How do you get through the firmament? You got to go through him. And guess what he says? Well, hey, depart from me, you that work iniquity, for I never knew you. And be cast into the lake of fire, prepared for the devil and his angels, right? You want to end up in the lake of fire, folks? I don't. I don't. That's right. You want to go there? I'll tell you who's first in line. It's the cowards. That's right. All you pimps in the pulpit, you pimp pastors in the pulpit, you pickpocket pastors in the pulpit, preaching a bunch of Pied Piper nonsense, making your people afraid to do anything about anything, giving them this false hope that Jesus is going to come back next week and fix everything, as people in Iraq and Iran are getting run over with Humvees to overthrow their government, that the United States and its criminal allies, these crime ministers and these crime families, have turned these countries into literal hellholes where the people are getting steamrolled by Humvees just trying to fight back after they've been bombed back to the Stone Age because they want to have a pomegranate and some date paste to go on their stale crackers, and their kids are starving to death, and all you care about is a Tesla and your freaking Clinique makeup. Come on! You know, I live in a community. It's really sick, folks. It's the education community. And all these degenerates that work for the college and the junior college and the school districts that are brainwashing and mentally molesting our children, they'll meet their fate. They're already starting to get a taste of what lies ahead with how their marriages are being destroyed by the evil forces that they've brought upon themselves by their involvement in this spell casting and sorcery they're performing on the children. And it is my hope that they would come to repentance, and those involved in media and film production and video production and movie production and pharmakia and all this sorcery of the medical system, that you would wake up and repent of your evil deeds. And those of you that are involved in the mind control and the programming, recruitment for the military industrial complex to get the Top Gun movies out, to get the Tom Cruise, join the military type movies going. to get these children to go sign up for the bloodbath. And for those of you who invent these wicked, evil video games, I seek nothing more than your repentance and your acceptance of Jesus Christ, and that you fix what you've made wrong. And the clarion call out there to everyone who's on that crazy train, get off at the next stop, because that's the beauty of Jesus Christ. I don't care how long you've been on that crazy train and how little you think you have access to an exit ticket. You pull the string, the conductor will stop, and Jesus Christ will let you off. All right, folks? That is my heartfelt desire. Because you want to know something, ladies and gentlemen? Although I hate evil, I love people. You want to know why? I love my children. I love my family. I love my co-workers. I love my neighbors. I love my friends. Because God made them. They're special. They've got 75,000 miles of circulatory system in their body that God put there. And that somebody fell in love with somebody and consummated an action that resulted in the creation of that human life. And some woman carried that child to term for 9 months and loved and nursed that child. And they were created in God's image. And it is these demonic forces that have created enmity between us and our friends and our families and our neighbors, folks. And it is up to us to declare hammer time on those forces. All right? God bless you, folks. I want you to have a great weekend. Get the word out on this video. You know, there's a lot of suppression going on with my channels, folks. The shadow banning, the algorithms are really blocking it. You can type in the title of these videos, you won't find them. You can be subscribed, and then you go back the next day and your bell's not clicked. I mean, they don't want this information getting out. You know, they're trying to be nice. They're trying to be nice and let me roll, but at the same time, they're screwing with me. So, but that's okay, folks. We're winning. They're going to lose. They're not going to get away with this stuff, all right? I want you all to have a great day. Get the word out on what's coming. Remind your friends and neighbors to subscribe to the channel. And my contact information is P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92834. And we will see you possibly on drive time this evening. Take care.